Hello everybody, welcome back to Its Current Year for another quick battle replay. Today I am playing the Tomb Kings, not a faction I play a lot of, up against the Warriors of Chaos, and this was actually a really epic battle. This went right down to the wire. A really fun game against a guy von Liechtenstein who I seem to match up against a fair bit on Quick Ladder, and who's always a nice guy and a really good opponent too. So over to the Forces of Chaos. On the flanks here we have some Chaos Knights, the regular Chaos Knights, not the Lance version, so better combat stats, better in prolonged combats. They are being led by an Exalted Hero who looks like he's just taken the Mark of Khorne, as well as the Deadly Onslaught and the Foe Seeker ability. We have a front line of mainly Marauders, but he has gone with some Chaos Warriors with Halberds on the flanks, backed up by some Aspiring Champions. Don't see Aspiring Champions much anymore. They're an interesting unit. They have an interesting sort of application. I'm not really sure where they sort of sit in terms of the Warriors Chaos list. They're fairly cheap, but obviously low model count, good damage dealers. But yeah, don't see them very often, so that's cool to see them. Another unit of the regular Chaos Knights over here, as well as the Swords of Chaos, backing up the Lord of the End Times himself, Archeon Everchosen, who has taken the Slayer of Kings, as well as the Burning Head and the Fireball. Fireball, obviously a great spell against Tomb Kings for Lord sniping, because all of their lords are in fact flammable mummy dudes. Over here to my force, I took a unit of I had some leftover funds, so I just took some stock standard skeleton horsemen, the obligatory skeleton warrior and skeleton spear front line, backed up by some Ushabtis with great bows. Got some Tomb Guard on the flanks here. Tomb Guard with halberds, used for mucking down charges. Good anti-large, armor piercing, good stats. Stay in the fight a long time. I brought the Blessed Legion of that word. The Armor Sundering I figured would be handy, even if I could just get a smattering of shots in the front row. Obviously the Ushabti with great bows have great armor piercing, so it's not like that you need to negate armor to make them be effective damage dealers at range. But thought if I could just wear down things like Chaos Warriors, even if he has stuff like Forsaken and I guess the Chaos Knights as well, they could be handy. So I had a few units of skeleton archers, but I decided to just combine them into one unit and spend the extra funds elsewhere. Gone for a unit of the regular Necropolis Knights over here. Better stats than the dedicated anti-large variant, and they still do have some armor piercing, so they don't. I don't think they really miss the anti-large bonus. They're better in prolonged fights against sort of armored infantry. We've got the King to catch the Scorpion Legion in the back, poison attacks, good melee defense, just a good hold, just a good frontline sort of debuff unit. And we also have the Sneaky Snake Eyes of the Desert, the Sepulchral Stalkers, who I believe semi-recently their missiles got some extra armor piercing and also some extra, I believe, extra projectile speed, which is handy for them. They also do have stalk, so they're good for laying a bit of a trap. I have taken Ark in the Black on a regular skeleton steed here. He's taken the Tomb Blade, the Staff of Nagash, as well as having the Liber Mortis for the physical resistance. And I've gone Fated Buna and Spirit Leech, pretty stock standard on the spells there. Fated Buna, I figured if we had the Mirror Guard or a unit of Chosen or something like that handy, and obviously the Spirit Leech is good for just spam casting against enemy heroes and the like. It also does snipe off some models. So we just do a bit of a quick play there just to get the initial front lines up. I'm happy to take this engagement here near the hills. I don't want to go sort of too far into the trees and have my things blocked off. Getting a few early shots. Probably don't want to be using too much of their ammo on the Chaos Marauders, but they do actually have. I thought they had more ammunition than that. So yeah, that's probably wanted to take Fire at Will off there and have them conserve their ammos for things like the halberds, things like the Chaos Knights. Obviously, I do see the Chaos Knights on this side, so I am turning my halberds to face there, just to not let them in. Obviously using this terrain feature as well to my advantage. I allow the charge here because I was trying to get Archon over here. I can't remember what I was microing here, but I was a bit sloppy at this point. And I do get the Sepulchral Stalkers in, who are still hidden, to get their shots in, but you just see how fast they crumble, and I'm just really not quick enough here with Archon. I give him the move order, and I send the Tomb Guards out here, but they unfortunately do take a charge. They are anti-large, and they are armor piercing, so it's not a bad fight for them. The Chaos Knights don't have a lot of armor piercing themselves. A Burning Head goes down, clipping the back of that unit. There are some more Knights coming around the flanks over here, but I do have King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. And I am teeing off into this big blob with the Ushabti with Great Bows. You can see this Chaos Knight has taken a lot of damage. Coming in from behind with the summoned units of skeletons. Although these Knights do sort of break away and get in, so I will be pulling these Ushabti up and around the back and getting King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion in just to impart the poison, keep them in place. Front line obviously going poorly for me, but that's to be expected. These guys are just there to hold. The Tomb Guard, unfortunately here, are getting mucked up on Marauders. Not really where I want them fighting, and he isn't able to sneak past with his halberds. Fate of Buna going down over here on the Chaos Knights. I think that was actually a misclick. I did mean to cast that on the Swords of Chaos, but that unit of Chaos Knights gets routed off. You see here the Necropolis Knights are having a pretty decent time. Their combat stats here are holding up reasonably well in this fight. The Tomb Guard over here unfortunately do show their backs to the flank to the Chaos Knights here, and I do pull out the Eyes of the Desert just to get their shots, their armor piercing shots, and save them for later. I do notice the halberds encroaching over here on the Ushabti, so I am keen to grab them away. And I committed Archon in the fight to try and get some regen on his Tombblade ability. Archeon snipes one of his Swords of Chaos there, and then he just took a lot more damage than what I had wanted him to. I do pop the Liber Mortis over here just on the Ushabti to try and get them out, and I will be bringing around the Scorpion Legion to try and get these guys out of the fights, because I do want their fights, their shots to be able to, or I do want them to use their ammunition rather than be caught in combat. But I do get some good shots in here, good target obviously with the armor sundering of the Blessed Legion. Into the backs of the Chaos Warriors with halberds. I do my Ushabti summon from the Realm of Souls. That'll come up there just to stop the infantry out. This infantry over here is held really well, actually a lot better than I would have expected. They pushed up these Marauders, Aspiring Champions, obviously a bit of a different kettle of fish. But the Eyes of the Desert here are trying to just get some value in on this Exalted hero. The Necropolis Knights are fighting Archeon. Unfortunately, these Ushabti Greatbow, I'm pretty much resigned to losing these guys at this factor. I just couldn't pull them out. I was spam clicking, but just the numbers, they unfortunately do crumble. So a bit of mismanagement there. But I do have a healthy unit of King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. I do have 73 Tomb Guard over here. Obviously, these Tomb Guard haven't really been scratched by the Marauders. Bit of damage, but good unit model still left there. And these guys are holding beautifully. That's a mistake by me. I should have had them fighting the Aspiring Champions, getting the last bit of damage out of it. They shouldn't be chasing Marauders here. Archeon is just dancing around, he's basically been after Archon for the last minute or so, but I am keeping Archon out here. He's popped the Staff of Nagash to get some power recharge and to bring back his abilities from cooldown. We've got two Knights of Swords of Chaos, sitting here in the trees. A big Burning Head goes down here, which is going to crash through my force here. A unit of Skeleton Warriors out here have actually pushed off. They were reasonably healthy. 37 Chaos Warriors with halberds, so I was happy to get rid of them. Unfortunately, Archon does catch Archon. He is a little bit faster, but I was spam clicking, trying to keep him away. The very last Sword of Chaos comes back here, and we'll get tar pitted by the Skeleton Warriors. These Chaos Warriors are getting pushed off, and again I'm just dancing around with Arkhan, trying to wait for his abilities to come off, cool down, but he does get caught there. So I'm trying to bring them up and around, use my my remaining infantry to just provide a bit of a buffer for him. We've got the Skeleton Warriors here. We'll finally kill off the last of the Swords of Chaos here. These guys have done a really good job, these two Skeleton Spearmen. They've held out all game. They've just kept the Aspiring Champions and kept some infantry units busy out here. I've expended all my ammo on the Blessed Legion, so they're just bodies to be thrown into the fight now. The Exalted Heroes fighting in here. Most of this stuff, however, is armor piercing. Obviously, both the Tomb Guard here. The Blessed Legion obviously don't have their armor sundering effect on their combat stats, but they've fired all their ammunition, so they're just getting thrown in now. Arkhan is just trying to handle that here, and unfortunately, Arkhan, sensing an opportunity, comes out, snipes him down. I did pull out my Sharpty here to try and just get the remainder of their shots, but Arkhan will make pretty quick work of him. So I'm leaderless at this stage. Arkhan's gone down, but some of my, the infantry I have left is going to be reasonably effective at what my opponent has left. Obviously, the Tomb Guard here have some armor piercing and anti-large. This Exalted Hero is mounted. Archeon is mounted. So I've got the bodies here. I'm just worried about basically the loss of leadership and potentially hitting army losses and having their leadership fail and just crumbling. But King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion, obviously with the poison, is going to be a factor, but they're not going to do obviously great. They obviously lack really any armor piercing. So yeah, even the Aspiring Champions, who are pretty happy, still have 12 unit models over here. We'll cut through them reasonably quickly. So basically, we're just we're in the end game here. We'll go a bit of a fast forward. He does have some halberds who come back, unfortunately, so that's troubling. But they're starting to get pretty worn down. The melee defense of the Tomb Guard here is a bit much for them, and they repel them. We'll go back to a regular play here. The Aspiring Champions, they're getting worn down. The armor piercing of the Tomb Guard is significant, and the lack of unit models means that we've still got 80 unit models there, 24 here, 40 here. Just the amount of tax going into them are just telling now, I guess. I'm trying to sort of screen Arkhan with this unit. I've got these guys pretty much under control, but I am aware of obviously cycle charging and rear charging affecting my morale and being, the nail in the coffin. A fireball does go down, pierces a few of the ranks, but it doesn't do a ton of damage. But the burnt effect, again, the biggest factor here is my leadership failing. Arkhan does charge back in, and I think at this point I'm thinking, oh well, they're all wavering. That's the game. I'm going to crumble. But the Aspiring Champions, despite the stand or die going down from Arkhan, are wavering and beginning to be pretty tattered. Only 6 of their 12 left. Arkhan is on his last legs with 300 damage, and I'm figuring 20 unit models, 65 unit models, 23 unit models. If I can just get a few attacks in, I might be able to cinch it. And lo and behold, Arkhan gets bogged up. One of his attack animations takes him into the mass of the remaining Tomb Guard. Arkhan goes down. The Aspiring Champions leadership will fail, and probably the most Pyrrhic of Pyrrhic victories imaginable for the Tomb Kings there. So, like I said, a real nail biter. Obviously, losing when I lost Arkhan, I thought I was on borrowed time, and obviously when I saw all the leadership sort of the wavering animation on the unit cards for the Tomb Guard and the King Nikesha Scorpion Legion, I thought that was basically going to be it. But they managed to stay in there. Obviously, they have by undead standards, pretty good leadership, and obviously given everything was mounted or armored, they were pretty much in their element in terms of what they were fighting. My front line actually held way better than I thought it would. I thought they would break a lot quicker. I had a unit of Skeleton Spearmen tie up the Aspiring Champions and a unit of Marauders. I mean, 142 kills on those guys. Most of it is skeletons or probably King Nikesha Scorpion Legion in the end game there. Bit of mismanagement on my behalf with with the Eyes of the Desert. I didn't really get a return on them. The Necropolis Knights, only 20 kills, but most of them were Chaos Knights and Swords of Chaos, so probably not the worst. Return on them, but probably more just came down to my mismanagement. Again, one of my Sharpties got ganged up on by a unit of halberds, probably these ones here, who have earned a chevron. And a couple of burning heads going down. Obviously, that's sort of inevitable when you play undead factions. You do tend to blob up, and burning heads can be pretty devastating. But other than that, a real nail biter of a game. As I said, I played a fair few games against this Van Liechtenstein, and he's always a great opponent. So thanks again for the game there, and thank you all for watching. And until next time, we'll see you then.